short passage today in English, how many eyes did you see or hear?
在今天的经文里面，你有听到几个我？
You heard it 5 times.
你听到了5次，
5 times God says, I.
神说了5次我。
I will show you, I will make, I will bless you, and so on.
我会展现，我会做，我会去试。
And I thought, God, you are so egotistical.
我觉得神你太自以为是，
You think everything is about you.
觉得每件事情都是关于你。
So I remember my kids growing up.
我记得在我小孩身上，
They are now 14 and 18.
现在是一个14岁，一个18岁。
When they were little and began speaking, everything was about them.
当他们开始学说话的时候，任何事情都是关于你。
My son would go around the house and say, that is mine.
我儿子会在家里，然后就会说：“哦，那是你的。”
Actually, the way he would say it is, that is mine.
我事实上他会说这是我的，
Everything was his.
任所有的都是他。
He would walk to the TV and point and say, that's mine.
他会走上电视，他说这是我。
He would walk to the kitchen, point to all the food and say, mine.
他会走向厨房，然后指食物说这是。
He would point to our dog and say, mine.
然后他会指向我们的狗说这是我的。
And our dog at that time was 75 pounds.
这只狗我们当时有的时候是75磅，
Almost 3 times his weight and size.
是它3倍体重跟
And speaking of dogs, my high school daughter Ella was talking about our dog this week.
说到我高中的一个人要这个礼拜才刚才说我的狗
It's been a long week for her.
是一个非常漫长的周。
She's part of the tech and background crew for school plays and other theater productions.
他是戏剧演出，学校戏剧演出的技术工作成员。
All this week, they've been preparing for a Friday show.
这个礼拜他们都在准备一个戏剧演出，在星期五戏剧演出。
It means that she goes to school at 8:30 in the morning and doesn't get home till past midnight.
所以这代表早上8点40就会到学校，然后9点以后才回家。
One night after her shower, she came downstairs and stared at our dog Finn for several minutes.
一天晚上，在他洗完澡后，他走到楼下，然后盯着他们家的狗边瞧了几分钟。
Our little 22-pound miniature poodle mix.
我们20磅的小只的威利狗。
Ella said, it must be so nice to be a dog.
然后说他是
And I said, what do you mean?
我说什么意思？
He doesn't have a care in the world.
他不需要在人生的事情，
The whole world is about him.
这个世界只有他。
He gets up in the morning and we have to let him out to pee.
他早上起床，让他去洗，
Then we feed him twice a day.
然后我们喂他吃1次的一天，
Then he waits for his walk.
然后他就得等他的散步，
Then he cuddles next to us, wanting some love, so we have to groom and pet him.
然后他就跟我们一起拥抱，然后一起打扮，然后我们
It must be great to be a dog, and the whole world is there to serve you.
当一只狗真的很好，但全世界都会是你。
Finn's whole life is about him.
对你的整个人生都是只有他。
And I didn't think about our dog in those terms, but she is really correct.
我没有想太多我们的狗，但是他关于是部分是正确的。
But if we take a good look at ourselves today,
但是当我们看今天的事情，
aren't we really like our dog, mostly about us?
我们真的喜欢我们自己大多于喜欢神吗？
My kids are older now, so I don't have to worry too much about them when I wake up.
我的小孩已经够大，所以不太需要担心他们。
This morning was all about me.
今天早上我需要担当自己。
What am I going to eat with my coffee for breakfast?
我早上要吃什么早餐，然后喝什么咖啡。
How will I deliver my sermon today?
我要怎么今天的祷怎么走？
Which suit should I wear and what tie?
我西装要穿什么样的，我要打什么样的。
Did you notice I'm not wearing a tie today? And finally, what shoe should I wear with my suit?
我需要配什么样的鞋？
I bet you all had some of those same thoughts today.
我相信你们在这个也有相应的想。
What will I wear? What will I eat?
我今天要穿怎么样？我今天要吃。
What time should I leave for church?
我什么时候要去教会？
I bet for many of us, we haven't thought about our neighbors, our city, and our world around us.
我相信在座各位，我们没有太多关于我们的邻居，或是我们的这个城市，或者这个周遭，
It's basically about me and us.
就是关于我自己跟我们。
Today's short passage is a reminder to us that life is not just about us.
今天的讲道是提醒我们，这个世界不是只有我们，
It's about God.
是关于神的。
And I know I complained about how many eyes that God uses in today's passage.
然后我抱怨了一下，今天神说了可以用字在今天的世界。
But in a way, I don't mind when it is from God.
但是我不是特别这么在乎。
I wish God talks with me more in the I language.
我希望神说多一点英国可以使用。
For instance, this morning when I was choosing what pair of socks to wear, I wish God was there to speak.
当我今天在选择我要穿什么样的袜子的时候，我希望神会开口跟我说。
I wish God would have said, InHo, I wish for you to wear those bright red socks with blue polka dots with your dark suit.
我希望神今天会开口跟我说，我希望你今天会穿一些亮红色的袜子，跟一些蓝色的扁包的，跟你的蓝色的西装。
And I would say, why those socks, God?
然后我就问为什么是这些袜子？
And God would say, I wish for you to wear it because it's different, it's cool, the accent colors matches your suit, and makes you stand out.
然后神就会说，我希望你穿这个，因为是不一样的，是非常酷，是那个颜色是跟你的西装是搭起。
And I would say, thank you, God, and pick out those red socks.
然后就是这个是然后我就选择穿。
And yes, I wore those socks today. But God didn't speak to me. I was at a Christian conference before I was married.
我在深圳是在我深圳。
And one of the speakers talked about how dependent he was on God.
一个演讲者说关于他对多依赖神。
He said when he was in seminary, he heard a voice from God.
他说当他在神学院的时候，他听到神对他说。
And God said, this one female seminary student was to be his wife.
然后神对他说，一位一个女生在学院里面会当他的妻子。
So he said, though he didn't know her, one day he went to her dorm room and knocked on her door.
然后说他不知道那个女生是谁，所以有一天他就去敲他的门。
When she opened the door, he said, God told me that you are to be my wife someday.
当女生打开门，他就说，神告诉我说，你有一天是我的妻子。
He told us that this is how he found his rib.
然后时刻他说这是他如何找到他的那个。
You know the rib that was taken from Adam to make Eve? He found his rib.
知道那个亚当的是拿来创造夏娃的，所以他说这是他的方式。
He said he found his rib, and now they are married.
所以开始看什么？
And I have nothing to say about that.
没有认识。
I think that is a person using God and the other way around. But don't we all wish that God speaks plainly to us every day?
但是我们不都希望神对我们说清晰一点。
It sure would help us be more God-like.
这会帮助我们多像神一点。
God who speaks to us about which direction to go when we have an especially hard decision to make.
神会告诉我们哪一个方向走，然后我们就会 当我们遇到比较难的一些选择的时候，
God who gives us clear signs of where we should go next in our lives and the life of our church.
神会告诉我们非常清晰的一个指引，告诉我们哪一个地方该怎么走，让我们生命当中。
In the Christian world, there is a phrase that you've heard quite often.
在基督徒的世界里面有一句话很出名，
It is WWJD.
叫不到的是
Have you heard of it?
听过吗？
I don't know what the lettering would be in Taiwanese or Mandarin or even in Korea.
我不知道这个字在台湾、在台语或是中国或是韩语里面怎么写，
But you know what it means.
但是你知道是什么意思？
WWJD, what would Jesus do?
WWJD 是what 是说
It's a phrase that we hear quite often when making decisions.
这是一个非常常见的词语，
But actually, I don't like that phrase.
但是我不是太喜欢这个词，
Because if you think about it, none of us can or are willing to do what Jesus did.
因为如果仔细的想，没有我们任何一位没有人可以做像耶稣这样子做。
Are you ready to hang and die on a cross for those who don't know you or even hate you to save them?
你准备好为那些不知道甚至不认识的人，被钉在十字架或是死在上面？
Even as a pastor, if I look deep inside, I would love to say yes, but I am not sure I can follow in the way that Jesus lived.
就算是为一位牧师，当我仔细思考后，还是会说是的会，但是我不是那么确定的，可以效法耶稣的那种方式。
So I'd like another phrase.
所以我喜欢另外一种说法，
It's not as simple or easy or as catchy as WWJD.
没有那么简单的像 WWG，
It is WWJHMD.
叫做 WWG。
Let's spread that one around. What would Jesus have me do? This is not what Jesus would do, because I can't really follow exactly in the way of Jesus.
这不是别被迫，因为我没办法，效仿耶稣那一种方式。
But it means, what would Jesus have me do?
但是他的意思是，
Hi, hon.
让我
I'm doing pretty good, finishing up the church service right now.
Pastor, with my strength and weaknesses, a person who has a hard time growing facial hair, what
On
would
Zoom,
Jesus
yeah.
have me do?
我
Oh, we have community.
一个夫妻，一个丈夫，一个牧师，带着我的力量跟软弱，一个人，然后有着很难出胡子，这件事情，耶稣会需要操你。
This is a question that is asked in today's passage.
这就是今天讲到的问题，
What would God have Abram do?
是要
In chapter 12 in Genesis, this is really the first time that we meet Abram.
在创世12章是我们第一次见到亚伯拉罕。
Who is Abram?
亚伯拉罕是谁？
Sure you heard the name before. Anyone know who his father is?
你知道他的父亲是谁？
It's Terah, and he comes from a long line before him.
他是从比他在很早时出来的。
And Terah's great grandfather is Shem.
他的曾祖是
And do you know who the father of Shem is?
你知道闪的父亲是谁吗？
One of the most famous characters in the Bible, Noah.
非常出名的一个人叫挪亚。
And we find all this out in the previous chapter, chapter 11.
我们这些资讯都在前一个章节10章的创世纪。
So Abram is at least 8 generations below Noah, and we know very little about him.
所以挪亚是8代以后的人出来，但是你知道他非常少。
Other than being married to Sarai, we don't know what kind of a person he is.
除了知道他跟撒拉结婚，我们不知道任何其他资讯。
We don't know what his strengths and weaknesses are.
我们不知道他的刚强怎么软弱，
We don't know how well he followed God in his life.
我们不知道他跟随耶稣有多久，
We don't know if he would have acted truly as Jesus would have.
我们不知道他是否跟表现的跟耶稣一样，
But God calls him.
但神叫他，
God doesn't ask him WWJD.
神没有问他WWJD，
God asked him WWJHMD.
神问他WWJHMD。
God called this man just as he is, with his strength and all of his faults.
神称这位男人是男人为他，然后他的力量以及他所有的错。
God says, this is what you, Abram, would and should do.
这神说这是你亚伯拉罕应该做，也就是需要做，
And even this is not a small thing.
这不是一件小事情。
God tells him to leave his country, his family, and community and go to a land where God will show him.
神要求他离开他的国家、他的家庭、他的社区，去一个地方神要表现给他。
And where would that be?
真正哪个地方？
God doesn't say, at least not yet.
神没有告诉他，还没有。
So God tells Abram to leave your life, all that you have known, to the place where God will show him.
所以神告诉亚伯拉罕，离开你的人生，去一个地方，你去一个你知道的地方，然后神会。
And do you know what Abram does a few verses later?
你知道亚伯拉罕怎么做？
Beginning of verse 4 says, he went.
在开始的前4节，他说他去，
Don't know where, but he followed.
他不知道什么，但是他做。
That takes so much trust in God.
这需要很多对主很多信任，
That takes so much faith.
这需要很大的相信。
It also means that Abram has such a close relationship with God that he completely trusted God with his life and his family.
是代表亚伯拉罕有非常亲密的关系跟神，然后他完全相信神。
We need such trust and faith in God in our own lives.
我们需要这些信任在神，这些信任关于神在我们的生命里面。
And we need such trust and faith in the life of our church together.
我们需要这信任在我们的教会里面。
We must go where God leads and not where we ourselves want to go.
我们需要去神的要我们去的地方，不是我们自己的。
May God's Spirit continues to be with us, each of us, as we try to follow God in our lives.
愿神的圣灵继续待在我们每一个人当中，然后我们继续
And may God continue to give us vision and energy to lead our church into the future.
愿神继续带领我们每一个人，然后带着我们的力量继续教会。
Let us pray.